Hello everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to the channel. So I'm here today with my July 2020 media pickups video. So this is going to be all of the media I grabbed last month or received last month in the world of media, excluding books. I do have my July 2020 book haul, so if you want to check that out, definitely do so. But this is going to be everything else. And this month I have movies, tons of them, and video games, tons of them to talk about. I will start with my video games just because probably no one's really going to care about those because they are almost exclusively sports video games, which I know has a very, very tiny audience, and so chances of you wanting to see those are very slim, but I'm going to include them anyway. And then I'll move on to the movies I got. I'll start with my DVDs, then talk Blu-rays, and finally I'll finish it up with 4K movies. So we got a ton to talk about again today. So without any further ado, let's dive right in. With my video games this month, I'm going to start with the most recent console and then work my way back because I have a ton of original PlayStation games that I'm going to show you. But before I get to those, I'm going to talk about some PS3 games I grabbed. So all of these video games I grabbed this month were via the clearance table at various disc replays in my area. And these three that I'm about to show you, I paid like literally 30 to 40 cents for. It was absurd. They had like $1.99 or $1 price sticker on them, and then they were like 70% off of that. Now, obviously, it's because they're worth, probably even less than what I paid for them. But if you guys have been following the channel, you know that I collect old sports video games. So in the interest of trying to complete my collections, I grabbed some more of these. So I grabbed Major League Baseball 2K8 for the PS3, and all of these, I won't show all of them, but they are all complete with everything included, which is really the only way I try to buy my sports games. And then we have MLB 11 The Show and MLB 12 The Show. So again, I probably paid less than $2 total for all three of these, which to me, this is awesome. I know no one else thinks that, but that's totally fine. So MLB 11, MLB 12, and then Major League Baseball 2K8, all for PS3. Let's talk PS2 real quick. These are not sports games, but they're racing games. And again, these were about $1 each because they were on the clearance table. First up is Supercar Street Challenge on PS2. And this one, I don't know a ton about, but it looked cool. It looked like a fun racing game. And then I also grabbed Test Drive. This is the greatest hits edition of Test Drive, which, I played this when it first came out, and I was a fan of it then. So I imagine I'm probably still going to like it now. And again, the best part, the baby's complete. Now, I know some people don't like the greatest hits versions of games, but this is complete as well. I honestly couldn't care less. I'm sure there are some games where I'd like to have, the original black label, but nothing that springs to mind right now. So the fact that this is greatest hits is not a problem at all. So Test Drive and Supercar Street Challenge on the PS2. From PS2 to Xbox, I have about 10 Xbox games I want to talk about, which Xbox, I think, is one of the more underrated systems. I absolutely loved my original Xbox when I had it. I still have one sitting, right over there right now. It's plugged in and ready to go. I love it. But I just love the Xbox, and it was one of the first consoles that I bought with my own money, along with the PS2. I think the PS2, I mostly did trade-ins in order to get that one, but Xbox, I was working at that time, and so I was able to afford one, and I loved it. So first up, we have 4x4 Evo 2. I'm going to try to go through these ones pretty quickly. I don't have a whole lot to say. This is a racing game for the Xbox. I have the first one, so I wanted to get the second one. And then we have 007 Nightfire, which I was really surprised I didn't own these. I thought I owned all of the James Bond games on PS2, but I did not own this one. And so I have Nightfire now, which I really like the James Bond games when I play them. So I thought that was a cool find for like $1. And then we have America's Army, Rise of a Soldier. I'm a huge first-person shooter fan, and I've heard this one is actually pretty decent. Obviously, it was done by the Army as a sort of recruitment tool for kids, which is kind of disgusting and gross, but it was only $1 and it was used, so it's not like I supported that. But yeah, so America's Army, Rise of a Soldier. And then we have another sports title. We have FIFA World Cup Germany 2006. So some of these I actually looked up to see if I owned them before I bought them. And I forgot about the fact that some of these were released on Xbox 360 at this point as well. And so this one, I believe, was one that I actually own on 360, but now I have the original Xbox version of it also. And then we have Major League Baseball 2K6 to go along with my 2K8 on the PS3. We have Midnight Club 2, another racing game that I used to absolutely love playing with my buddies back in the day. Fantastic game. Excited to own it now. Actually, the only Midnight Club game I own, which I was really surprised about. Then I grabbed Minority Report, Everybody Runs. I've actually never even seen the movie Minority Report, but I don't know. It just looked fun on the back, and so I decided to pick it up. Again, these were so cheap, so impulse buys were at a max. Then I grabbed NHL 2K6. Now, I own NHL 2K6 on Xbox 360. It was the first in the 2K series to land on the then next-gen system, so the Xbox 360 generation of consoles. But I've heard that this one is actually better than the Xbox 360 version because it is like, at this point, they've released a ton of games on the Xbox, so they know how to handle the hardware a little bit better than the 360. So I wanted to grab this. Some games like that, I typically will go with only the latest console that it was released on, but there are some titles like NHL 2K6, Madden 06, NBA Live 06, where I will purchase them on both the older gen and the newer gen because they're supposed to be better on the older gen, but I want to complete them on the newer gen as well. So those were three that sprang to mind. Obviously, moving from the Xbox PS2 era to the Xbox 360 PS3 era was quite a jump for sports games. And if you are a sports gamer, you know that it was a jump down in quality, unfortunately. Jumping things. Anyway, we have another sports game. This is I don't know if you say UEFA or UEFA. I have no idea. But Euro 2004 Portugal. And this is one that I don't believe, I just don't think I owned this one. So I was happy to add this one to the collection. And the last game I grabbed on Xbox was Reckless, the Yakuza missions, or Yakuza, however you say that, missions. I've heard really good things about this, and it's another game that looks really fun. So I wanted to grab that one on Xbox. So that is all of the Xbox games I grabbed, which I didn't mean to grab that many Xbox games. They just happened to be a lot of the ones that were on clearance for, $1 to $2. So I grabbed a bunch. If you would have asked me back in June,
hey, what does your Ps1 collection look like?
I would have said, I don't have one. I don't collect PS1. Well, then I walked into Disc Replay in July, and everything changed. Now I have a PS1 collection that's about 25, 26 games deep. And the majority of these are sports games that I paid like 50 cents or less for. So sports games are obviously my jam, as we've already talked about multiple times in this video and in the past. So I'm going to show these off here. I will mention like maybe 4 or 5 of them are not sports titles, but most of them are. So, if that doesn't interest you, then I'll go through them very quickly. Much like I did with my book haul, I'm just going to rapid fire through these because there's so many. So let's get to them. Andretti Racing, bottom of the 9th, 1999. EA Sports Supercross, EA Sports Supercross 2000, FIFA 2000, Major League Soccer, Grand Slam, High Heat Baseball 2000, Jimmy Johnson's VR Football 98, and this one I'm really excited for, just like Grand Slam, because I like the ones that are not the traditional EA titles or Game Day, things like that. This one should be pretty cool to play. Another really cool one, Kurt Warner's Arena Football Unleashed. I was so happy to find this one. It's basically Blitz, but with an AFL license, so that's always cool. Madden 99, an absolute classic from my childhood. I played the hell out of this game way back when. The first non-sports title, this was so cool. Men in Black, the series, Crashdown, excuse me. And the reason I got it is because it's a first-person shooter. And I mean, it looks awesome. So really excited to actually try this one out and see how it is. MLB Pennant Race, Moto Racer, NASCAR 2000, another one I have fond memories of renting when I was younger and playing through it like all night long with my buddy. He did a really long race, and I just remember watching it and thinking, how is he still going? This is so long, but I still love playing it. NASCAR Heat, one of the better NASCAR games on the PlayStation 1. NCAA Football 2000, NCAA Game Breaker 99. So this is basically 989's answer to the EA Sports titles. NFL Game Day 2000, and I was really hoping I would find some of the earlier game days because these were some of the best football games on the PlayStation. Well, I should say they were some of the highest rated PlayStation games way back when. I know I played these when I was younger, but I don't remember too much about them. I was definitely a Madden guy from, youth. And so I was always playing the Madden games, not too much the game day. So I'm really interested to see how this one holds up, against the Madden title. NHL Faceoff 97 with Paul friggin' Coffey on the cover there. That's just I'm a huge Red Wings fan, so that is awesome. NHL Faceoff 98, which, as I said, I'm a huge Red Wings fan, so was not a big Flyers fan around this time. Speaking of teams I was never a fan of, NHL Faceoff 99 and NHL Faceoff 2000. So this was when I was able to get 97 through 2000, which I was really happy about. Sammy Sosa Softball Slam, and I have vivid memories of playing with my uncle when I was younger. He was on a ton of different softball leagues, and every Friday night I would go to the park or the Diamond and watch him play. And it was so much fun because there was always, it was a beer league, so they were always fighting and everything, and it was just a blast. So then on the weekend, I would spend a lot of time with him, and we would always play through Sammy Sosa Softball Slam. The game is not good by any stretch, but it was nostalgic, so I grabbed it. Non-sports title alert, we have Spec Ops Ranger Elite, and I've never played any of these Spec Ops games before. I actually grabbed Ranger Elite and Stealth Patrol, which the only reason I really know about these is because they're both available as like PS1 classics on the PS3. I've not played either of them, but they are third-person, like, tactical shooters as far as I can tell, so I'm hoping they'll be pretty decent. So, Spec Ops Ranger Elite and Spec Ops Stealth Patrol. Superbike 2000. And last but not least, we have Triple Play 2000 with Sammy Sosa on the cover there. So that's all the PS1 games I grabbed. There was a ton. So now I have a very large PS1 collection compared to what I had last month. Obviously, 90% of them are sports titles, so everyone's going to look at it and say, why'd you waste your money? But hey, we all like what we like, and so I'm happy to have it. So that's all the video games I grabbed this past month. So now let's jump over to the movie side of the house and talk about what films I grabbed. All right, so now let's talk about movies, which I'm sure is the reason that at least 95% of you hit play on this video in the first place. But to begin with, I picked up a ton of Criterion titles this past month. I actually have 2 different videos of my pickups for that. I do have a couple to talk about in just a few minutes here that weren't in any of those videos, but I have 2 videos on my 2 separate Barnes & Noble trips because it was the Barnes & Noble sale last month. And then I have 2 separate unboxings, one for the Bruce Lee Greatest Hits set, which I grabbed last month, and then the second one for the Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga 4K set that I received as a Christmas gift from my family. So those items are not going to be included here simply because I've talked about them already on the channel. So if you want to see anything about those or hear more about those, check out any one of those 4 separate videos to find out more about those items. So I'm going to jump back in time a little bit from when I'm recording the actual haul video, but I was fortunate enough, it was my birthday this month, and so I ended up getting a package from my buddy Chris. So Chris, thank you so much. We tend to exchange birthday and Christmas gifts, and I love opening them on camera when I can, and so I figured this would be a perfect excuse. So I got my knife. Let's open it up and see what I was able to get from Chris. So here we go. Okay, I think I'm in. Let's open it up, and I'm going to try to open it up on camera here and see what it is that I'm adding to my collection. I'm sure it's something media related, just because it is who it is. So let's see what we got here. So we're going to take this out. Oh my, yes it is media related. This is fantastic. We have some movies here, so let's do it this way. So I've only seen one of them, so first up is Gretel and Hansel, which is awesome. We were talking about this. I really wanted to see it. He wasn't a huge fan of it, and so he sent it along my way, so this is fantastic. So Gretel and Hansel, super excited to see this one. Oh, baby, and we have a 4K release. We have Onward, so this is really cool. So actually, he ended up receiving 2 copies of this with his Best Buy order because he ordered the Steelbook and ended up getting the regular edition, and so then afterwards they sent him the Steelbook to make up for it. So I now have Onward on 4K. Thrilled to have this in my collection. I've actually not watched this one yet. I know it's a newer one that's on Disney Plus, but I never got around to watching it. So we have Onward on 4K. And then next up, we have, Doom Annihilation. So perfect. So I really enjoy the original Doom. I know everybody hates it, but I actually really like it with, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. It's just a fun movie, that whole first-person sequence. It's a ton of fun. And so Doom Annihilation is now in my collection. Heck yes. I've not seen this one. I've heard mixed things about it, but I'm sure that I will probably get a kick out of it at least. So we'll see how I like this one. So Doom Annihilation, and then there's one more in there. So let me bend down here real quick. All right, so let's see what we got here. Oh, yes. I am so excited about this. Heck yes. I've been wanting to get this movie for so long. And so it is Invisible Man on 4K. I literally wanted this since before it came out on 4K. The 4K transfer of this is supposed to look amazing. He kept the slipcover intact for me, which I always appreciate. Oh, I'm so excited. So we have 4 movies from Chris. Chris, thank you so much. This is really awesome. What an awesome birthday gift. 2 4K movies with Onward and The Invisible Man, and then 2 Blu-rays with Gretel and Hansel and Doom Annihilation. This is a fantastic birthday gift. So again, Chris, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This is just awesome. So let's now move back to the future, for when I'm filming, to the future, so we can continue with my July media pickup video. Thanks again, Chris. I really do appreciate it. With these, we're going to go in format order. So I'll start with my DVDs, then talk Blu-ray, and then we'll finally wrap it up with 4K. First up, we have one that I was actually going to grab from Amazon because it was only like $9 on Amazon. But then I happened to walk into a Dollar General. For the heck of it, I never go there, but I did the other day, and I'm glad I did, because I happened to come across Godzilla the Series for $7. Yes, $6.95, which is just crazy. So this is the complete animated series of Godzilla, which has 40 episodes, and this actually takes place, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong if you know, I believe this takes place after the the Hollywood Godzilla from the mid-2000s that everybody hated with like Matthew Broderick and whatnot, which I don't hate that film at all. I enjoy it. And so I'm definitely interested in checking out Godzilla the Series on DVD. Next up is a film that I seen quite a long time ago now, and I don't think I really understood what I was watching at the time. I didn't really appreciate it that much, and so I wanted to try it again for some reason. I was thinking about it recently, so I wanted to find it, and Disc Replay happened to have The Jacket, starring Adrian Brody and Keira Knightley. And this one it's a story about PTSD. I know Brody's character doesn't really know much about his past. He's in this straitjacket, which is where the title comes from, and he's suffering some, PTSD of some sort and, clearly some memory loss. And so I want to give it another shot to see if maybe it's better than I remember. So I grabbed it from Disc Replay for about $3. So I figured, that's cheap enough. Let's give it a shot. So The Jacket. And then we have another one that I watched around the same time I watched The Jacket that I just didn't remember much about. I remember liking it, but not why I liked it. And it's a film that has a normally comedic actor in a very serious role, which I am such a sucker for. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is one of the greatest films ever made, which also stars Jim Carrey. We're talking about The Number 23. And this is actually a Joel Schumacher film, which I totally didn't realize until I popped this disc in. I actually bought my first version of this on eBay, and the disc didn't work, and so the person refunded me the money, and I happened to find it at a second Disc Replay that I went to, and that disc worked, and I actually watched it already, and I really enjoy this movie. Like, there are obviously things that are wrong with it. Everyone talks about, I don't know if you want to call them like the flashbacks or the visions, whatever they are, that the main character has, which is played by Jim Carrey. It pits Carrey as like this kind of like this badass saxophone playing private eye guy, or he's a detective, and it's silly, but it's okay that it's silly because it'd be like me thinking that I'm some, badass rock star or something. Like it's ridiculous to the outside eye, but to me it makes sense. Like, yeah, I could do that. Why not? And so to me, it worked, and it worked fine. So I really enjoyed this film. I'll talk about it a little bit more in my wrap up, but I wanted to show here because I did pick it up again this month. I used to own it on DVD and then I sold it, so I wanted to grab it again. And the Blu-ray was quite expensive, so I just decided to stick with the DVD on this one because I wasn't sure how much I liked it or not. So I really enjoyed this one. I do recommend it if you're willing to, give it another shot. If you've already watched it before and didn't like it, I think it's worth your time. So The Number 23 on DVD. All right, so the rest of these DVDs were all from the dollar store. I got them all from Dollar Tree, so I won't have nearly as much to say about them. But the first one is the film I've wanted to see for a long time, and that is The Gift. I know this has a readily available Blu-ray, but the DVD was there for $1, so I grabbed it. This is a suspense thriller from what I understand, so it's supposed to be pretty decent. Has Jason Bateman and Joel Edgerton, so we'll see how I like The Gift. We have some more of those compilation movies that Dollar Tree likes to sell. This has O.J. Simpson, of all people, and Fred Williamson on the cover, and this is 9 action movies. So, you can see them all on the back there. It looks like there is a good mix of blaxploitation films on here, which is really the reason I grabbed it. I don't know virtually anything about any of these movies, but I figured since there is some blaxploitation on there, I was going to give it a shot. So 9 action movies from Dollar Tree. Another compilation disc. This is Slipstream, which is apparently from the producer of Star Wars and the director of Tron, which I thought was fascinating. The other thing that's amazing about this, it stars Mark Hamill, Bill Paxton, and Ben Kingsley, which is just absurd. And so I definitely want to check this one out. I've not heard of it before. I believe it was from like the mid to late 90s. So we'll see how this one is. But it also comes with these 4 films on the back, including the sequel to Logan's Run, which I've heard is a good movie, the original at least, but I've not seen that, so I do need to check that out. But yeah, so 5 movies for $1. This is a 4-movie set, so War of the Robots is the main feature here, but then as you can see, it has in 3 bonus movies. So we have Cosmos, War of the Planets, The Phantom Planet, and Unknown World on there as well. So I love sci-fi, so why not grab this for $1? This was a really cool find. I didn't even know this show was a thing, but I love Ben Stiller. And now I own the complete series on DVD of the Ben Stiller show. So this is really interesting. Did you guys watch this? Do you know anything about it? Is it any good? It's like basically a sketch comedy show like Saturday Night Live or Mad TV, something like that. But apparently it's, starring Ben Stiller and his friends. So it has 13 episodes. And I think like one of them didn't even air the first time, if I remember right, from what I was reading. So we'll see how this one is. The Ben Stiller Show complete series. And the final movie I grabbed from the Dollar Tree this past month is Sanitarium. So look at the cast up here. It's pretty great. It has, Malcolm McDowell, Robert Englund, Lacey Chabert, and then Lou Diamond Phillips, of all people. One of these things is not like the other. But yeah, so this is actually an anthology film. I believe Malcolm McDowell is kind of like the leader of the Sanitarium, and then we see 3 stories that are based around or start in the Sanitarium. I could be making that up, but that's kind of the gist I get from it from reading it. So we'll see if this one's any good. For $1 in a horror film, I figured I'd give it a shot. I totally forgot about this one. This is actually a Blu-ray that I found at Dollar Tree, and it is Kill Katie Malone, starring Dean Cain. So I don't know much about this one at all, but it looks like a paranormal horror film, and it was on Blu-ray for $1, so I'm adding it to my collection. So we'll see if it's any good or not. So this is really the last film I grabbed from Dollar Tree this past month. That was also the start of my Blu-ray movies that I grabbed this past month. So let's start with the 2 Criterion Collection films I grabbed that I didn't talk about yet. The first one is a film that I've already seen and I absolutely love. That is The Squid and the Whale. This is directed by Noah Baumbach. And I watched this movie for the first time years ago, and I was just blown away by it. And I'd never owned it. I think I rented it at the time. This is from 2005, and it is spine number 845 for those interested. There are a lot of good special features on here, so I wanted to finally add it to my collection. It was like coming down to the final days of the Criterion sale at Barnes & Noble this past month, and I had, just passed my certification that I've talked about 100 times, so I'm going to stop talking about it. But I really wanted to celebrate, and so I walked into Barnes & Noble and I grabbed a couple more things. So the first one I grabbed was The Squid and the Whale from 2005. The second one and the final film I grabbed from the Criterion Collection sale this past month was Scanners. So this is directed by David Cronenberg, which now I only need... what do I need? I need Naked Lunch, I believe is the name of it. That's the only other film I need in order to complete my Cronenberg collection that is available in the Criterion Collection. So was happy to have this one. I actually started watching this film years ago and I didn't like it at all. I ended up falling asleep and I never went back to it. I just thought it was kind of boring. So I don't know. I didn't really want this. But then I was there looking to celebrate and it was just staring me in the eye. It wasn't there at any other Barnes & Nobles I went to, and it wasn't at the one I was at earlier in the month. And so I was like, well, hey, it's here now. Let's grab it. We'll keep working on that Cronenberg collection. So this Scanners was released in 1981, and this is spine number 712 with this fantastic cover art. So that is another of the Criterion Collection films I got, and I swear that was the last one I bought last month. I promise. Okay, I'm an idiot and I apologize, but I do have one more from the Dollar Tree. This is Up From Slavery, and this is actually not a film, but it's a 7-part documentary series. I believe this is from PBS. Don't quote me on that, I could be wrong. But it was released by Mill Creek Entertainment, and like I said, it was $1 at the dollar store. I've heard really good things about it from some people who've already bought this, and of course it's a very, very fitting for the time we are in for me to learn more. So really interested to check this 7-part documentary out. So it's Up from Slavery from Dollar Tree. Next up, we have a couple movies that I got from my wife for my birthday. And these actually represent me completing the Godzilla collection on Blu-ray. So I have Godzilla 1984, or The Return of Godzilla, and then the 2-pack here from the Toho Godzilla collection. We have, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack, and then Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. So I now officially own all of the live-action Godzilla films on Blu-ray and or 4K. So that is awesome. I was so happy to get both of these from my wife. She did a wonderful job. And so now it's a matter of going through and watching all of the Godzilla series because I own them all. There's no excuse. So super excited to have these in my collection. This next one is completely random for me because I'm not much of an anime guy at all, but I started watching a new channel on YouTube called the MovieBuffPaynes, who is this husband and wife couple that just have an incredible movie collection, and I really like watching their videos, so I will link their channel down below if you are interested. But they collect, one of the things they collect are the G-Kid films, and the husband loves anime. So he talked about Tokyo Godfathers, and it sounded fantastic. So I had to add it to my collection. I looked up a bunch of reviews, and it just has incredible reviews. So apparently this takes place around Christmas, and these 4 homeless people find like an abandoned child, a baby, as you can see on the cover there. And so then they spend like Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, whatever it is, trying to return this baby to its proper parents. So pretty interesting. Great thing, heard great things. It's directed, really what caught my eyes is that it's directed by Satoshi Kon, who also did Perfect Blue, which is one of the only other anime films that I've really loved that I've watched. So I'm hoping I'll like this one just as much. So Tokyo Godfathers, we have the G-Kids release from Shout Factory. And so, yeah, we'll see how this one is. This is another Walmart Collector's Edition Scream Factory title. This is Cobra with Sylvester Stallone. And not only does Stallone star in this, he actually wrote this, which you can tell, because I actually watched this for the first time this past month as well. And it is very, very 80s, very cheesy, but, I mean, it's fun. It's stupid, but it's fun. So another Scream Factory Collector's Edition that I'm happy to add into the collection. Unfortunately, as you can see, no slipcover. While I was at Walmart grabbing Cobra, I looked through their cheap bin and I found Resident Evil The Final Chapter, and this was the last movie I needed to complete the Resident Evil series on Blu-ray for me. And of course, now that I've completed it, they just announced yesterday that it's coming out in 4K. Fortunately, it's like $100, which is about twice what I would pay for it. But I really do like this series. We reviewed through this entire series on the Cinefessions podcast, all the way through the final chapter. We went to go see that in theaters, and then had our podcast about it. But I enjoy the series. I probably enjoy it more than some people do, I would say. But I don't know if I want to spend $100 on it for 4K. Honestly, when it drops down to like 50, 60, 65 even, then I would probably pull the trigger. But we'll see. Anyway, Resident Evil, the final chapter completes my Resident Evil collection on Blu-ray. This was a random find at Disc Replay, and it is Piranha 2: The Spawning. So this is actually a Scream Factory release, but it is not a collector's edition Scream Factory release. And there's no slipcover again, but that's okay. I found this one used for very cheap and was happy to have it because it's from Scream Factory. So not watched this one yet, but we'll see how it is. It's probably going to be terrible. The cover is probably the best part about it, which is saying a lot because this is a fantastic cover. All right, so let's wrap it all up with the 4K movies I got. First up, I received the Skywalker Saga on 4K, which has episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but it doesn't have Solo and it doesn't have Rogue One. So I went to, I called Disc Replay, one that I thought may have had them, and they said, oh, yeah, we got them both. So I drove all the way out there, came all the way back home, and realized that Rogue One only had the 2 Blu-ray discs. It did not have the 4K disc. So that was annoying. Had to drive all the way back the next day, and they were able to they weren't able to replace it. So I still do not have Rogue One, but I did receive credit and I got something else. But this Solo, A Star Wars Story, definitely has the 4K disc in it. So I was able to get one of the 2, and I only paid like $14 for this. They are $30 each, when you buy them brand new, which is just crazy. So I, of course, want to find Rogue One used as well from a disc replay, because it'll be a lot cheaper. But in the meantime, this one will do for now. I do have Solo, A Star Wars Story, so I just need Rogue One to complete my 4K collection of all the Star Wars films. When I took back Rogue One, I was trying to find something, couldn't really find much, but I did come across Godzilla King of Monsters. And this one actually goes toward my Godzilla collection, so this is actually technically the one that wraps up my Godzilla collection, but I bought this one before I received the other two. So, so Godzilla King of the Monsters I have not seen yet. I am in the minority. I love the 2014 Godzilla. I think it is just such a fantastic film. I mean, Bryan Cranston is wonderful in it. I don't know, it's great. I know everybody hates on that movie, but I really like it, so I really want to check this one out, and I'm glad I have it in 4K, because I've heard it looks fantastic on the platform, so we'll see how this one is. So Godzilla, King of the Monsters on 4K. This was a cheap kind of impulse buy while I was at Walmart. It was on sale, or not on sale, it was just marked at $10, and that is Hellboy with David Harbour. I've heard not a lot of great things about this one. And frankly, everything I've watched from Hellboy, everything I've read from Hellboy, I've not liked. I don't really enjoy the character of Hellboy. The reason I want to have this in my collection, though, you're not going to be able to see it, but is because of that gentleman right there, Neil Marshall. Neil Marshall directs this, and we actually did, when we were very young in the podcasting game, way back when, we did a complete retrospective podcast on all of Neil Marshall's films, and I love all of them. You know, you have Dog Soldiers, you have The Descent, which is one of my favorite horror films ever. You have Doomsday, which I think is super underrated. Really like that film. There's one or two more I'm forgetting, but Hellboy is another on the list, and so I really want to check this out just because it is directed by someone that I would consider one of my favorites. So Hellboy, directed by Neil Marshall, for $10 from Walmart. Can't beat that deal on a 4K release. Next up was another item on sale. This one was on Amazon for $10, and that is Schindler's List, and this is the 25th anniversary edition. So I have seen this film. It's obviously a wonderful film, but I actually own the 20th anniversary edition on Blu-ray, and I don't know what's in here, but it's a pretty thick release if you compare the two. So I probably won't get rid of this one just because it looks pretty cool. As you can tell, I haven't even opened it yet. I watched like a rented version of this way back when, but I've never watched it again since. So it's one I definitely want to make up for. I will watch the 4K version versus the Blu-ray edition, but we'll see what's on here compared to this, and maybe I can just get rid of the 20th anniversary edition, but we'll see. So anyway, this is another one, like I said, on sale for $10 on Amazon. Heard great things about the transfer, so I wanted to check it out. So Schindler's List, the 25th anniversary edition. The final two items were also gifts from my wife for my birthday this past month, and the first one I am just so happy to have in my collection. I've wanted it since it came out. I just didn't buy it, and that is War of the Worlds from 2005. Heard really great things about the transfer, and this is, I love this movie so much. It is just so much fun. I watched it again not too terribly long ago, maybe sometime last year even potentially, after reading the book, and I love it. I think it is just such a fun film. I really enjoy it. So very, very happy that I received this one on 4K for my birthday. Like, I can't wait to dive into it and see how the HDR looks and just how the overall picture quality is upgraded versus the Blu-ray that I own. I think I have like the Tom Cruise collection on Blu-ray, which includes this one. So yeah, very happy to have War of the Worlds on 4K. And last but not least, another film for my Kubrick collection, another very recent 4K upgrade, and that is Spartacus. So my wife actually bought me Godzilla King of the Monsters, and I not realizing I had already bought it a couple days prior, and so I returned it and we got Spartacus instead. So very happy to have this one. I am getting closer and closer to having all of Kubrick's film in my collection, which is really exciting. This is one I've seen once, decades ago at this point. Cannot tell you much about it, but I know we watched it in school. So very interested to see what this transfer looks like, which I've heard just stunning things about. So I'm sure it's going to look great. So Spartacus on 4K is the final film that I picked up or received last month. All right, so there it is. All of the movies and video games that I picked up in the month of July 2020. It was an awesome month. Again, super thrilled. I got so many great gifts and just a ton of really cool finds. So I'm very happy. Let me know down in the comments below, what did you pick up last month? Media, any media, video games, movies. If you want to talk books here too, that's totally fine. Let me know what you grabbed last month. I'd love to have more of a conversation with you guys down there. And also, where to start? Any suggestions on where to begin with this pile? You know, I am working on a goal this quarter of watching all movies that I purchase that I've not seen before, are not compilation discs. I have all these rules listed because it's me and I make things complicated because that's just the way I am. But a lot of these are ones I have to watch in this quarter in order to complete that goal. So hopefully I'll get to a lot of these very soon. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to Cinefessions here on YouTube. And if not, thank you anyway for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for today. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.